There's a video of him teaching me to skate. He's just kind of telling me what to do, and I'm holding on to him for support. My whole childhood is filled with memories like this. Him opening up the world for me.
Hey, hi.
That's what my dad's career was about. There's a bit of a paradox in that for him, the point of it all is all the things we do individually, all the passions and the people that matter to us and the goals we pursue. The point of his career was to advance the politics within which everyone could do that.
Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. I'm Brett Baer. Welcome to this Fox News special, Charles Krauthammer, Making His Point. Our friend and colleague passed away 6 months ago, leaving behind his wife Robin and son Daniel. Charles had been working on a book called The Point of It All. He asked his son to finish it. I was surprised how the book begins, considering it's a topic Charles really didn't want to talk about when I interviewed him a few years back.
Is there a way that we can talk about your family? I mean, you're married, you're happily married, you have a kid. You don't want to do that at all?
It's a great, interesting topic, but I've never done it.
Yeah.
I've written 2 million words, and you don't see any of it. There's a reason.
Okay. All right, let's start again.
I don't deny that I have a wife.
Yeah.
But I never wrote about her, except for once I never wrote about Daniel. When he was born, I wrote a column about his birth. And it was a good column, and it was nice. And then when he was 1, I wrote one on his first birthday. And then I realized I'm never going to do this again. This is using him. This is going to be his vision of himself through my eyes. And I simply won't do it. So other than a reference to him here and there, I never wrote about him again, ever. 2 things in 28 years. I'm not a touchy, I'm not a feely guy. And that's probably why I quit psychiatry. I mean, if you're not into feelings and emotions and all the backstory, then you ought to be doing something else.
You see that we had to cut the camera there at in the middle because he didn't want to talk about it. This book, though, leads with the column about you.
Reveries of a Newborn Father, June 28, 1985. 3 weeks ago, Daniel Pierre Krauthammer, our first, entered the world. It was a noisy and boisterous entry, as befits a 10-pound Krauthammer. It has been just as noisy and boisterous since. I had been warned by friend and foe that life would never be the same. They were right.
He put it in the collection. It was, at the time I took it over, the publishers and the editors wanted it to be at the front, and I think my dad would have agreed with that. But I felt it was the right thing to do. I felt, he expressed a lot of his love by protecting and by not wanting to take any advantage of the thing that was most dear to him for any purposes other than the love itself, which is why I think he refrained so much from talking about me or my mom. But, I'm the one making the calls, and I love him for that protection, but I would rather celebrate him than be sheltered myself.
Yeah, but when you see him kind of steering me through that, what do you think?
I mean, it's so interesting to me because, he says he's not a touchy-feely guy, and on the one hand, it's very true. I mean, he's, the most wry and ironic and funny, and he doesn't get, mushy and soppy on the outside about anything. But I think at his core, he was all heart, and I think everyone who knows him knew that, which I think is why people were so drawn to him. I think one of his favorite movie characters of all time was Humphrey Bogart in Casablanca, who's, on the outside all hard-hearted and the cold-hearted realist, but deep down he always does the right thing and cares deeply about everyone he loves. And I think, my dad, a lot of the privacy was was wanting to keep the most precious, important things to him, just to him. Because, you know, I think everyone deals with this of how much do you wear your feelings on your sleeve, right? It's been very difficult, frankly, talking about a lot of this and making the decisions to take on the book, to put the very personal things that I put in the book in there, and to talk with you about the book. But now that he's gone from this life, I believe he'd say I'm doing the right thing.
What do I do? It seems my job is to father, a verb which must count as one of the age's more inventive creations. How exactly to father? I really don't know. The women's movement, to which the idea owes its currency, is right to insist that the father do more. But more of what? I've been asking myself that lately as I rock him and hold him and speak to him in the gravest of tones. We both know, we all three know the truth. Nature has seen to it that anything I can do, she can do better. Mine is literally a holding action.
The column is poignant on several levels. It captures the awe and really the uselessness of fathers at the beginning. We have nothing to do, nothing to offer really. But on the other level, your father really wasn't able to do the 3 a.m. changing and the feedings.
You know, I guess where you're going is, you know, my father had some bad luck, and his life was different and my life was different because of that. But how he lived his life of, you know, you don't let things get in your way.
Come on, get set, go. Squeeze it, there we go, Danny. That's it, good one, Danny. Nice, Sarah, keep squeezing, good. Okay, there you go. Come on, okay, Danny, hurry up, go back.
He made my life wonderful, and he didn't let what happened to him affect me.
Danny, that's it.
There's a candle.
Did they think about having more children?
I think they mentioned they wanted me to have a sister or a brother, but apparently that was not to be.
That was not in the cards.
Yeah.
Your dad called your mother his co-author in life.
My father and my mother shared an incredible bond, and their lives were intertwined in a deeply profound way. They met when they were both grad students at Oxford, and his college, which was an all-men's college, and my mother's college, which was an all-women's college, had both just bought a manor house. And so my dad, he saw this form, check where you want to live, you know, single sex, co-ed, check. And so that was the beginning of it. So they met there, and they began their relationship, and they were apart for a while because my dad went back to America to go to Harvard Med School, and my mother went on to practice law in London and in Paris. And that candle stayed aflame, and then she moved to the States to get back together with him, and they were married. And,
in between there was the accident.
you know, love is love, and I think that's really the whole story from both their point of view, that was something to deal with, and that was going to be a fact in life, but that's not what mattered.
Coming up.
The last thing he said to me about it is, don't publish it if it's not worthy.